Stream is up. Actually, if you're ready to start, let's start there. Hey, print me out a copy of that if you want, real quick.
What now?
Print me out a copy of that if you wouldn't mind.
Hold on.
Yeah, Shazam.
Print this for you?
Please.
Fuck, where do you print?
Just take Command P.
Boom.
Where did it go? It looks like Brandy's right here by the icon.
I made 2 of them for UNTL. And we're live. All right, I need to plug into.
There you go. Big toe. Hello, YouTube. Burp. Oh, yeah. Macho burp, Randy Burpage.
Dig it.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I need to plug in for sound.
Dig it. You know when talk about David?
Is it on here?
No. Since our board blew up, we got it.
Oh, fuck.
Got a little more creative.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
Let's see. There you go. That'll be you.
Uh-oh, where am I live at on here? Right here. Right here there, boy. Ooh. Watch your eardrums. Sorry, folks at home, if you can hear it. Let's see how she sounds. Tick, tick, tick. Click, click, click.
Welcome once again. Hello, everybody.
Hear anything?
Yeah, you could.
Okay, cool.
I don't know how loud it is.
Give it a go. I mean, this is all testes. 1, 2.
Okay. Is that good?
I go up a little.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to World Championship Wrestling. This
Horrible sound on that, huh?
It's old.
That's ageist. Connected to the wrong goddamn computer. Is there anything more annoying than a cold? I don't think there is.
It's Diet Coke.
It's the choice of a new generation.
Nope.
Oh. You got the right one, baby?
Huh. Diet Coke. Just buy it, fuckers.
Must be new.
Are we ready?
Yeah. Here we go.
Did that paper come out?
Yeah.
I made one for
Made one for...
Captain Dick Licker over
He's got
there.
one.
He's not paying attention. All right, perfect.
Hey. Hey, Dick Licker. How you doing? Ready?
Fuck
Yep.
off, both you guys. I'm ready.
All right. We love you too.
The following podcast is scheduled for one fall, and there will be no disqualifications. Making their way to the ring from lineupmedia.fm at a combined weight of 849 pounds, the Three Horsemen.
Old school wrestling fans, tell me if this sounds familiar.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to World Championship Wrestling. This is Freddie Miller, and this week, more excitement than ever before. Sensational matches, great stars from all over the world, and you'll be seeing them on World Championship Wrestling. Sergeant Slaughter will be here. Also, Mil Mascaras and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff returns to tell you something about his new philosophy. And there's much more. In fact, waiting at ringside to tell you all about it, here's the man who'll be doing the commentary for World Championship.
Guess what?
What?
I fucked that up.
You played the wrong thing?
Yep.
You dipshit.
You're wanting to play what?
I was wanting to play the week before.
Well,
So, you know what? I think I can try this again.
Cut. Brian, we're going to do a 5-second pause.
yeah, that'll just be the new start of the show.
Yep. So, Brian, you're going to do a cut at 7:40.
I could probably just restart the whole recording. I mean, it's not a big
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay. Never mind, Brian.
Sorry.
You'll never know about this.
You'll never know.
So, how are
Sorry,
we doing
Boob
this?
Tube.
How are we doing this?
How are we doing what?
What are we restarting?
Oh, I'm just going to kill the recording.
Okay.
I'm going to set the cursor right after the intro music. I'm going to hit record. And we're live. You can, start your intro whenever you want and like, we're back or any of that bullshit.
All right. Do I need to count it down or no?
I give it a few seconds. Or count it down, either way.
Like from right now?
From any time you want.
I'd probably do it from, like, now.
Not then. Now.
Here we go, Brian. We're going to get into this.
Hey, Brian, we're going to do it now,
So here we go. We'll play the intro.
and we'll do it now.
3, 2, 1.
Now.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so, Brian, psych.
Shut up.
Now.
All right. We're going to cut back into this in 3, 2, 1. All right. Old school wrestling fans, tell me if you recognize this.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to World Championship Wrestling. On behalf of WTBS, it's a pleasure to welcome the World
I do.
Wrestling Federation.
Just watched it today.
Exciting new matches, great competitors from all over the world. And here's the man to tell you all about it. Here's Vince McMahon. Vince,
Thank you very much, Freddie.
welcome aboard.
Thank you. It is indeed a pleasure to be associated with WTBS, and we promise to bring you the greatest in professional wrestling entertainment in the world today. We will have this week, as a matter of fact, exclusive footage on a matchup involving the Iron Sheik, who hails from Tehran, Iran. Also on hand, Adrian Adonis and his tag team partner, Dick Murdoch, the reigning World Wrestling Federation tag
then
team
from there,
champions,
come
will
on.
be with us. And then from there,
Boom.
the man who claims
says
to
it.
have the most impressive physique in all of professional wrestling,
Jesse the Body
Notwithstanding.
Ventura. And then from there, speaking of impressive, we
yep.
shall have all 6 feet 10 inches of giant-like
Big John Studd,
who tips the scales very close to the 364-pound mark.
Yeah, we might have seen this.
Special
Black Saturday.
Close to 364 pounds.
Then from there, notwithstanding that, the two best lines of Vince McMahon of all time.
Okay.
Welcome to the old school. Oh, you got those are
Okay.
not. Then from there,
They're okay.
notwithstanding that,
Notwithstanding anything.
welcome old school fans to Vince McMahon's destruction of the old school territory system.
Corey's eulogy.
Basically,
Of the
for wrestling.
territories.
Big Easy T.O. and the Wrestling Snob, the Wrestling Snob.
.com.
Corey, that's me. I've got my own website with no content, just a picture.
That's plenty of content.
We will add.
Pictures worth 1,000 words, man.
That's true.
You look like a real prick in that picture, so they'll get the point.
We're going to take a look at how Vince ruined territorial wrestling.
Ruined or just swallowed it whole.
All right,
And killed it from being even a thing.
did he make it better or did he make it worse?
I don't
He
know.
didn't make it anything, pretty much. He took it away.
Pretty good right now.
Pretty good right now.
Couldn't be happier.
You love those Knights of Columbus shows, don't you?
Yep.
Yes, 20 people.
Yeah, buddy.
That's good stuff.
Billy Corgan.
Did you know that where we were coming out of across the river from St. Louis in Illinois, they had wrestling shows leading to shows at Kiel Auditorium. They would take those territories. They had one in Bethalto. Yes. I want to say they had maybe two in Bethalto.
Like dark matches for Chase?
I know of one of them.
No, we know that Flair and DiBiase was on one of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they wrestled at Civic Memorial High School gym.
Dad partied with them afterwards.
You can look it up on
That's pretty cool.
on the interweb. But yeah, so they had those guys came across the river. They would do schools and local gyms around here.
I can't remember if he said it was the bowling alley or 140 where they got hammered
I
at.
think it was both.
Because my dad worked at the school and he helped set up for it.
Sure.
The seats and everything, and he went out afterwards and
Was this before you were born?
fuck, I don't know.
Probably.
No,
Surely
This is
thereafter.
after. This is 84.
I was born.
You're lucky you didn't join the circus. Take off without you.
Been a roadie.
I want to say that's 84, but I don't know the time. October 7th, 1984 at Civic Memorial High School Gymnasium. This is before we get into anything, because I said we were going to talk about wrestling at the Chase, and this kind of goes in with it. Gypsy Joe versus Tommy Rogers, Marty Jannetty versus The Animal, who was, I believe, Animal Hamaguchi from Japan, Bulldog Bob Brown and Avalanche Buzz Tyler versus The Grapplers, Harley Race versus Hacksaw Higgins, Ric Flair versus Ted DiBiase, bell time 5 p.m. $10 for a ringside ticket, $8 general admission. Available at Swenson's, Mallory Sporting Goods,
That's funny.
Meehan's Food, and Gino's 140 Club. Sponsored by the Bethalto JCs.
$10
How
for
did your old
ringside.
man not go to that?
I imagine he was there.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure the Boys Club would have had something to
That's
do
what I
with
was going to say. I don't know how your old man wouldn't have been involved.
Your old man
somehow.
has something to do with the Boys Club?
it. Yes.
Still,
ran.
or?
Not anymore.
I know the guy that runs it now. Kind of weird.
Who's that?
Fred Slow?
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Not the one in Bethalto.
I thought so.
I thought that was Kathy.
This is just recent.
They had a new
new
program director.
Oh, well, then maybe it is Fred.
Maybe him, yeah.
Yeah.
Good, that's good. No, Dad was the executive director from 72 to 97.
97.
Came from Peoria, Illinois. Came down to run the show.
Pronounces it the right way, Illinois.
That's right.
Not a lot of people know that.
So, yeah, including some in our own state. So, the dissection of the territories. So when I say Vince killed the territories, what do you guys automatically think of, or do you think of anything?
Him showing up on Nitro.
Oh, man, I know.
That's the best one. Or when Shane showed up, you mean?
Yep. Drinking my Mountain Dew. How stereotypical.
So this is going to be the One Horseman Show. This is where I just talk, and these
Cool. I
guys
just wanna listen.
talk about Nitro and the best of ECW. That'll be the separate show.
Hey, man, ECW is the best thing ever, man.
Man.
Philly for life, man.
Hey, man.
You gonna talk ECW? Wasn't that territory?
Yeah, that was a territory. Philly. Eastern Championship Wrestling. Yeah, it's one of the last territories. You're right.
Okay, so honestly, there couldn't be a better guy to talk about this. Like, you educate us so much on wrestling.
Welcome him in. His name. Oh, you're talking about me?
I'm talking about you, Corey. I'm gonna give you a little compliment here.
Wow.
Don't do that.
No, I mean, like, this is like his sweet spot, and this is what gets him a boner more than anything.
Really? More than anything?
More than anything, this
Weird.
gets him hard.
And so after last episode, we learned about you watching the, whatever.
Yeah,
hardcorewrestlinghunks.com.
Hunk bodies or whatever the fuck he
This
is.
week we wanted to find out Corey
No,
has
so
the same thing.
Corey
Flash
loves
hunk.
Corey loves this shit, and it's funny because like Corey will be at the house, we'll be hanging out, and like we'll get shoot interviews. There'll be shoots we want to watch or whatever, and like our taste in the break off of where I got into wrestling and started watching is where I started. Corey's more of a historian and went back.
I dare to say those
dug
shoot
into that.
interviews are better than any wrestling on TV today.
100%. Fuck.
Sean
interviews are
Oliver,
those?
Sean Oliver at Kayfabe Commentaries.
Oh, they're on.
yeah, I've seen a lot
They
of
do a
those.
great
Yeah.
job. They really
Dude,
do.
that guy's a genius.
Pretty good.
Well, you know what's happened is his ideas have been ripped off by podcasts.
Of course.
I mean, like, it's
like
just,
this one.
but I mean,
But
like,
we don't have any wrestlers.
no, but
to
what
talk about.
Pritchard's, the hottest podcast in the world is Bruce Pritchard's show, and it's a ripoff of the
The
timeline.
hottest podcast in the world.
They're doing 1 million downloads a week.
That's nothing though. Rogan does way more than that. He does like almost 4, doesn't he?
Not in a week.
Hold on.
I don't believe he does that many in a
Rogan
week.
Numbers. Let's find out here.
Don't be
He had,
a
he had 90 million last month.
Rogan?
Yeah.
But that's backlogged. He has fucking 10 years. This guy's only done 40. They're getting 1 million an episode.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
check
like,
that.
but the thing is Bruce Pritchard's brother Love, and he worked with the company for years. So they pick a subject, and he just does the entire career of a wrestler or does the timeline. It's
awesome.
But it's what Kayfabe Commentary did. They'd sit down with, like, what's an example? Kevin Nash.
Kevin Nash is a great example.
94 WWF?
Or 97 WCW.
Yeah, and they just start at the beginning of the year and they work through everything and they talk about what they remember. Well, Pritchard was behind the scenes on everything, so he can fucking talk about everything.
And
why
see-
they went in this direction, what,
And those are good, but the really good ones, they've had Morocco or Valentine maybe did 84, 85. They've gotten into some of those, and they've had Greg Gagne where they were doing that guest booker
Yeah.
for a while.
Those were okay. But I haven't watched the ones, which this is probably something
Cornette's
you're
a
in.
great example, too.
Come Back to the Territory, or Welcome Back to the Territories, or whatever Cornette does.
Back to the territories.
Have you seen those?
Yes.
I haven't watched one of those because that does nothing for me.
You're
And
going to want today.
And that's the thing. Like, I know that those are probably your favorite.
Yes, because those are all the guys that they're not as big a shoot interview, so
Well, Cornette just sits down with the guy that was
Those
in
get
it
out
or the
easier.
promotion.
yeah.
And it's
gold, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, so go ahead.
So, you kind of got into this a little bit.
I did my homework.
I did too. I read everything, went through all the clips and everything.
Did you go through the trail of content that he sent us today?
The videos?
I think I sent that to you.
Yeah, I didn't get what he sent me.
You didn't? Okay, well,
But did you read the Reddit thing that he sent? A link for a guy going over some shit on Reddit?
Yeah.
Well, that was the first of 5 parts that guy did.
Okay, yeah, so I only saw the first part.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
we'll summarize, because there's a lot to summarize.
might
And
even
it's
win this.
and it can all be debated as to how it went down. So, E turned me on to this, and it was a great way to, at least it kept a timeline and order of what happened.
Can I ask you one thing before we dig into it?
You may not.
I can either ask at the beginning or the end, but I want to do it at the beginning because I want to have your mind frame as a wrestling purist going through this because I am going to learn a lot.
Jace,
Is Vince a villain, a genius, or a hero for doing this?
All 3. That's just me.
I mean, to be the visionary to do this, that's a nutsy motherfucker to start an enterprise like that.
He's
Whoever it
a
is.
genius for doing it, but he also put a lot of good people out. Well, I don't know about good. I shouldn't say that. I've met some of these guys, but not all of them, and I can say that he put some people out of work that were good hands.
Okay, so what would you compare what he did at that time to modern era? Would it be like a sports franchise picking up and moving and firing all the employees and leaving a city without a team?
Yes.
Is that what you would compare it to?
Yeah, but I don't know a team, or I don't
That
know a
represents a
city that
region?
lost like 7 teams in one day.
And that's kind of So it would have to be a major team with a huge fan base where teams came from states.
Yeah, and it's not like you can lose an NFL team and then, oh, well, hey, there's going to be another NFL team that comes here, once a year. I mean, it's that shit doesn't happen. So these people lost their wrestling at the drop. I shouldn't say drop of a hat. It took a few years to kill them off.
Now let me ask you this: could have he gotten away with what he did in this day and age, with federal law and the way things went down?
Well, luckily his wife took over the small business program of the United States, so he could probably find a way.
Because they're totally small business.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they're not. Yeah,
Yeah, the woman who takes over the small business part of our government.
The irony.
Managed to put all these people out of business.
Runs a monopoly, basically.
and that's what I was gonna say. Would they be able to establish a monopoly like they have?
The only thing you could really compare it to is when the USFL tried to get into the NFL, or they tried to run their own league and were squashed. But that was all the jackass who runs the country now. He fucked that up. It's funny how this all ties together.
How do you guys feel about antitrust? A little bit of a side thing. I think it's kind of bullshit. The whole you can't have
Antitrust
monopoly.
laws?
Yeah, for you
work that hard to get it?
Yeah, you work that hard to get it, you get punished. There's no reason, like, as soon as they hit you with that, like how
Tell me-
Microsoft got nailed for putting Internet Explorer in Windows.
Right.
A fucking web browser that should come with a computer. They get sued by the Europeans, by the United States government, just for including something that should come with a computer, saying that now you must also include all of your competitors' shit.
Well, now you're going to get the same argument here.
Yeah.
Everybody has a McDonald's. Just because I come in and put a Burger King across the street doesn't mean that
If you can't keep up with the prices Walmart puts up, it's your own fucking bad. I'm sorry. People shit on Walmart for the same reason. If I could build up something like the Waltons did and be in every town in America and make billions and billions of dollars and then somebody wants to take it away from me because I'm too big, lick my dick.
Yeah, it's
Well, it's kind of
Called capitalism.
We were talking about the town we live in, just this, like, and it kind of goes to starting a small business and like having like a convenience store / gas station on the other side of town, and how you would do that with there being a Quick Trip in town where they can offer competitive prices, they can slash their gas lower than you like. It's kind of interesting that it's going to be all similar to this.
so similar. Crazily similar.
Shut the fuck up. Go ahead and start. Go.
Crazily similar because it's
Go, fuck
exactly
you.
what you're doing.
I don't think he's
you
fucking with you,
still
yeah.
had your local territory for the certain amount of these years. But when the WWF came to town, it was like, oh, wait a minute. You mean all those guys I loved on my show are now at this big show with a few of these other guys I've seen on TV? Well, I'm going to go to that. Forget watching my own little crappy
That
deal.
worked in most.
I'm gonna go to the
that
big
way
one.
in most markets, though. It didn't work in every market that way, but
North, and then
Yeah.
it took a long time to get down south, about 15
So
years.
they just
to get
kind of
down
rape and
south.
pillage, pluck the talent they wanted, and leave the shit behind, and then let it die off that way. I mean,
That's fair.
Did it vary?
Great
On how
question.
they took shit over?
That's kind of what we're gonna get into.
he's got a
Let's go.
narrative. He's
Let's
got a
go.
whole
Let's go,
narrative.
baby. Let's do it.
Take us down the narrative.
Let's
All
do
right,
it.
let's start with how Vince got into this. So, if anybody knows the Vince McMahon story, which makes this biopic even more, or biopic, however you say it, whichever way you want to say it.
Biopic. Everybody knows that.
Tomato, tomato.
Baylor.
So Vince gets to start running the Cape Cod Coliseum. So that leads to him getting to promote the wrestling that goes on there and getting to learn the business more, because before that he was just the commentator doing the Howard Cosell
Yeah,
thing.
his dad didn't really have too much confidence in him, from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, because he was basically illegitimate.
And from what I understand, he never wanted Vince to take control over the WWF.
Never wanted him in the
WWF.
business, period.
Right.
And, I mean, Vince's background, grew up in North Carolina, obviously. Vince was living up north in New York, but he comes in and starts doing this, running Cape Cod Coliseum. So it comes to the 82, 83, that you could vary on this. But Vince Sr.'s done. I want to say he finds out he has cancer at this point. It might be later, because he dies in May of 84. I'm not sure. Maybe 85. I'd have to look that up.
Do you ever consider giving it to any? I mean, like, was there like other options?
Well, that's the thing. Gorilla Monsoon, Scotland, and I want to say Phil Zacco.
Why didn't
God dang it.
Why didn't the
And I've got my
NWA try to
timeline
absorb
here.
it?
They were part of the NWA. I mean, the NWA, and that's one of the things that they gave up eventually.
But they still had the WWF title. That's what I'm saying. Like, they recognized their own champion. Did all the other territories have their own title?
Everybody had their own champion. Everybody,
Yeah, like
there was
Mid-South
one world
heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
So then, okay,
It wasn't
North
just
North
Mid-South
America.
World
so at that
Heavyweight Champion.
time, okay,
American
gotcha,
champion.
gotcha.
So everybody had their own, but it was the United States title that was basically everybody's. That was your stepping stone.
Mm-hmm.
Most people would have a U.S. title
Or TV title.
or TV, yeah, something like that. But getting out of that, so Vince buys out his dad and buys out Monsoon, Scotland, Zacco. I wish I had that up. Yes, it is Phil Zacco. Got to make sure I have this right.
He was known colloquially in the business as Zacco the Wacko.
Zacco the Wacko, right.
Everybody knows that.
So, okay, so we get to 83. Vince is ready to go national. And his dad evidently, stories, makes the calls to the promoters saying, look, kid's taking over the business, big plans, and you see some people start to leave the WWF. And when we talk about, like, guys going to WWF, those guys had already been there. I mean, it's not like everybody all of a sudden came in.
Right.
You know, guys were starting to go there in 83. It just kind of all snowballed. So I didn't know how much you read up on how he went about it.
All of it.
Okay. So he pulls out of the NWA in 83. So do you realize what that means when they pull out of the NWA?
At that point, and I don't think at that point he didn't follow the rules, but it pretty much says, I'm not following your NWA rules. I won't invade your territories. I won't put my TV on in your area.
I'm not recognizing
I
your
won't take your
champion.
talent. Right.
But you could still get their champion. So
Even
you
if you pulled out of the NWA.
not if you pull out of the NWA.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yes.
they,
Well, if you had the right stadium or whatever to get, you could get the NWA champion in there. I forget what it was, but a promotion who had left the NWA still got the NWA guy to come around. I believe it might have been AWA after they came out in the early '80s before they reconnected.
when they did combo shows.
Right.
And Mid-South had always gotten them, and they pulled out later.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so they couldn't, like, they had Harley Race and Superstar Billy Graham in Florida. They had Race and Backlund wrestle one time. A few different times the WWF and NWA champion wrestled. But, so they pull out of that. Now they don't even have a vote on who the NWA champion is. Like, Flair got it because
yeah. How often do they vote? And
anytime they wanted to make the change.
okay.
So Funk, Briscoe, Race, and you know the other funny thing, that's why I don't know if you guys have ever heard the story about Harley Race.
Who controlled power? Like what group controlled power? Because I'm sure there were allies and there was all sorts of underhanded shit that went on.
Eddie Graham, the Funks, those guys owned it. Like that's why Crockett wanted it, because they were a tag team territory that whole time, and then they were like, we want Flair to get it. That's why Ole said, yeah, get him the fuck out of here. I don't want to have to deal with him because he didn't like his wrestling. And that's what he says now. But it was Funk's, Eddie Graham. That was the two big ones that always seemed to have the guy. Briscoe, Funk, but Harley Race had his pull. Bob Geigel had some pull up in Kansas City, St. Louis. But he pulls out of there, so he's done. So now he starts to go. He wants TV in all these places, and that's what leads to AWA stuff, all that, you know what I mean? But going back to Race wanted to be the champion. Flair was champion 81 to 83, about somewhere in June, August. Race beats him right when this happens, because Race says, I'm going to be champion. If he's going to go start fucking people, I'm going to be the champion, so you want to come to my town and run shit.
Take it off me. Well, I mean, like, have a badass that's holding the belt that can take care of himself?
Walks in a locker room in St. Louis, I want to say, and slaps Hogan. Says, you got a fucking problem? There's also a rumor that he pulled a gun
For what, though? I'm confused.
for trying to take over St. Louis. God, I got to get to St. Louis to tell that. But we'll get there.
They put the belt on Race.
Yeah.
Because
For
they were
3 or 4
worried.
months.
No, but they were in fear of someone coming in and kicking Flair's ass and taking the belt the hard way.
I guess it was more. I think it was more Race saying, "Put it on me," because if you want to fuck with somebody, fuck with me. I don't think they were worried. I don't think anybody was scared of Hogan.
Well, I mean, Flair is not the most imposing fella.
No.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, at least, Harley. I mean, you hear all the stories of Harley Race just being a lunatic and a badass.
Respect too. Yeah, you're
Not
right.
a young punk kid. I mean, like, just for various reasons.
No.
Who wins in their prime, Ming or Harley Race?
I don't know that I even want to see that.
It'd be crazy. Wouldn't it be like one of the cartoon fights where there's just dust and arms coming out of the
Dude, I met Harley Race. He had just had that spinal or like disc
fusing or whatever?
neck brace collar. This is 5 years ago. He's like,
I don't know, they make neck braces that bigger.
he said, "Come on here, son. We'll take a picture." And I said, "All right, I'm going to stand on your right because I know I don't want to get hit with a left." He goes, "Ha ha." And he grabs me with 2 fingers behind the neck while we're taking the picture. The dude has the grip from hell.
Did he do it on purpose just to mess with you?
I don't think he meant to like squeeze, but he's like, "Come on, kid. Well, here we go." And grips while I'm taking this picture. I'm smiling, mostly out of fear. Anyway.
You think we can get a hold of Harley Race and get him on the show, like be our 4th horseman? Finish it up?
He's in bad shape. We saw him going into, where'd we see him at?
Physically?
I didn't.
No, we were going into, the last time we went over there. They dropped
Oh,
him
yeah,
off.
you're right. He was just at NXT tapings.
Was he in a wheelchair, I'm wanting to say?
He was in the car. Remember? He had the window rolled down.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Are you guys like, Harley, sign my titties?
Yes, we threw our hands up just like that.
Yeah.
I said, I remember when you did apartment wrestling.
And he rolled up his window?
Hunky Beef Boys.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
.com.
HarleyRace.hunkybeefboys.com.
Oh, boy.
Meat jerkin' beef boys.
Oh, God damn it.
Were you guys saying I was on hunkybeefboys.com? No, that was not us.
No, sir.
His name's Everett.
And he's a dickwad. I ain't seen him around lately.
It's actually Everest.
Yeah, like the dog.
So let's go after the first big territory he went after, the AWA. Big cities were San Francisco, Denver, Winnipeg, Minnesota, Chicago. They would run them all. Eventually bought Indiana out of Dick the Bruiser was running it. But so Hogan was their big guy. So you guys know how Hogan left the WWF, right?
To WCW, right. Was that what you're talking about?
No.
Or before that?
This is 81.
No.
I didn't realize he was there before he went to
Yeah,
AWA.
me neither.
Yeah.
I thought he came from Florida to AWA to WWF.
No, Hogan was probably, I want to say 79 to 81. Yeah, that sounds
Was
right.
he Terry the Hulk or?
He eventually became Hulk Hogan, managed by Freddie Blassie. So he wants to go he had done a program with Andre. They somewhat co-headlined Shea Stadium. He wants to
In late 70s, early
yeah,
80s? Okay.
headline Shea in August of 80.
See, I always heard the story that he was bouncing up in Minnesota before, like...
Well, he was probably doing that while he was wrestling up there.
See, I thought that he was bouncing, and that's where Gagne found him and brought him in.
Might have been. Gagne says the story is he met Hogan at Shea Stadium, and Hogan said he's not making the way he wants it to, which doesn't make sense when you're wrestling Andre. But
At Shea
of course,
Stadium.
getting the shit kicked out of him by Andre doesn't sound like
Okay,
much
so
fun.
go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Hogan wants to do Rocky III and gets approached to do Rocky III. Vince McMahon Sr. says, no, not happening. You wrestle for me. You're not going to do movies, any of this bullshit. Old-time promoter.
Worried that he's
thinking.
going to become a big star, leave the company. I mean, looking at it from fear.
You can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's happening with the UFC. Conor McGregor.
Ugh.
But, I mean, it's... go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, The Rock
Yeah.
kind of happened with him. But Vince,
John- I mean,
Vince
it's-
encouraged that.
Well, I'm telling you,
Vince Jr.
as good of an actor as John Cena is, he'll be doing it too.
Oh,
soon.
boy. So he becomes Thunder Lips in the flesh, baby. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but Hogan debuted for the AWA on the Phil Donahue show when they did their AWA wrestling show in 80. 81, 2? I want to say 81. Comes on, does that. Becomes the face of the company.
What
all
were they
that
doing a
stuff.
show on? What was the topic?
Wrestling. Phil Donahue liked wrestling. So they did a show on that. And I want to say, I'm sure Phil Donahue was national at that time. I don't think that would have just been going into New York. Becomes the face of the company, starts making big money. He has 2 big matches with Bockwinkel, and they sell a shit ton of Super Sunday and can't remember the name of the other one.
They're airing that out of New York, though. Does that piss off Vince Sr.?
I mean,
That's their area. Why is AWA on New York TV? I mean, I'm just going through the
I
logic.
think
of
it was
asking the
national
question.
TV. I want to say he's national.
Still pisses them off, regardless. I mean, any way you look at it.
I would think losing Hogan, I don't know that it would have been. I mean, you're still filling Madison Square Garden. He was a big name, but he wasn't. It's not like he was Hulk Hogan yet.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Hulkamania hasn't started at this
Not even
point.
So
close.
it's not messing with the machine then.
No.
Okay, go ahead.
And
Sorry.
it wasn't really a machine. They had some shitty business. Backlund was champion for.
I know,
4
but
years
filling
by
up
this
the
point.
gardens, that's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
20,000 back then,
yeah.
22,000, whatever it had held. But I mean, they're still doing what they're doing. But Hogan's making big money in AWA. Vern doesn't exactly want to put the belt on him because he's not.
He's still
fucking
so high
Billy
on Nick
Robinson.
Martin. Well, I think I'd read that Vern didn't want to put it on Hogan for the simple fact that if Hogan had to wrestle somebody else and it turned into a shoot, Hogan was actually kind of a pussy, and Nick Bockwinkel can handle himself. So
Kinda.
I mean, that's just one of the many little things. He also thought that the champion should be a good technical wrestler instead of just a draw. He was too old school.
Killed him.
Yep.
It's really what hurt him.
Well, most of the guys that he produced out of Minnesota, they were all former athletes. They were all.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like that was the big thing out of there. I mean,
Well,
all
he
the
was like
guys-
God trying to recreate man in his image. You know what I mean? The next thing should look just like me.
Yep.
I mean, so to speak.
Seriously, no, you're right. And I mean, I don't think if you go back in the '80s, you didn't see too many guys that look like Vern Gagne as your fucking
Well,
superstar.
fair enough, but I'm not talking with the hair because of which he'd had very little.
And he didn't want to give it up. I mean,
I'm having trouble giving up my hair too.
I think I want to say he beat Bockwinkel for the belt in 80, 81. Vern Gagne. I don't know if you know what Vern Gagne looks like.
I do.
I mean, in his prime, he played for the Packers. He was a bad motherfucker, but for God's sake, in 1980, played football in the 50s. I'm serious. I mean, that's a stretch. Anyway, so, I mean, R.I.P. Vern Gagne. Shanghai Nights all day, but... So, they go with... Hogan's still the face, but he starts making money off merchandise. They say, if we're going to put the belt on you, you can't... I get 50% of
So he's
your
doing his
merch.
own merch.
Yeah.
He is having shit made
Yeah,
himself.
he was the first guy that come in and brought his own merch. That was genius, really.
So who did that for him? Because I guarantee he didn't come up with that on his own.
Probably had a partner. I don't know. When you're...
Hogan's not a dummy. I mean,
He turned down the George Foreman grill.
never mind. You win.
You win, you could still
He
be
picked a
making...
blender over that.
Eh? What, you don't use the Hogan blender to make your daiquiris? I do.
Did he use the blender? I thought he used the pasta maker. Pretty sure it was Hulk Hogan's pasta
Oh,
maker.
there was
Was
a
it?
Pastamania.
Yeah.
There might have been a blender too, though.
But he goes through, and it was, I want to say it's at least that's one the notes, mid-'83, he goes to Gagne, Vince does, and says, look, I'll buy your TV times, we can be partners, you can promote your cities, we'll be gold. I'll give you this much money. I think it was a pretty good offer, at least for that. I mean, $1 million in 1983, I don't know how much the offer was, but I imagine it's pretty damn close. If Monsoon and these guys are getting bought out for $700,000,
Monsoon only made 70, from what I understand.
Zacco made 70.
I'm going to double check that.
Double.
Maybe triple.
No, seriously, do, because I don't want to be wrong. I want to be right. Goes and Vern says no. So he gets a hold of Hogan. Hogan went through, they gave him that deal, and Hogan's like, fuck it. He's on a tour in Japan. Hogan says, all right, I'm coming with you. Sends the telegram. Do you know that Eddie Graham
No.
Yep.
thinks he's...
In Florida, that telegram?
Yes.
Where he's actually in Japan at the time, and he sends a message home to send the telegram, which he's from Florida.
Vern Gagne thinks it's a joke from Eddie Graham. Turns out Hogan's not coming back at all. They had already booked all these cage matches through San Francisco, Winnipeg.
Through their territory.
Everywhere.
Yep. Who with?
Bockwinkel.
Okay.
In a cage.
All right, here's your numbers real
I
quick.
take that back. Maybe it was Schultz. Go ahead.
Titan bought 385 shares from Gorilla Monsoon. Phil Zacco and Arnold Scotland paying $624,000, of which Monsoon and Zacco got $71,447 each.
Ooh.
Yeah,
That's why he kept Monsoon on then.
probably felt real fucking bad for him.
That makes more sense.
Yeah,
So that total was $600,000?
that's what they paid for those 385 shares. They got the rating 615
Who's they?
shares.
McMahon paid for it?
Right, Titan. So
Titan
Vince McMahon
Sports.
Jr.
Okay. What became Titan Sports?
Right. He bought the remaining 615 shares for $1 million, which Vince Sr. apparently got 822. Hold on.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. 822,000.
Ooh.
It's pretty nuts
Back then?
back then.
I wonder what that translates to now. 3 million?
Shit, I'd say way more than that, probably closer to 7 or 8.
Really?
Easy 10 times.
So he made his money back.
Well, look at it this way. You
Where'd
sent
he
me
get
those
his money
videos of
from to
wrestling
buy
at the
it?
Chase. It's probably not 10 times, because you sent me those videos of wrestling at the Chase. There was a George Weber Chevy commercial. Did you catch that in there?
Yeah.
Selling the brand new S10s off the lot as they come, $6,800 for a brand new mid-sized truck, which is $25-30 these days. So 4 or 5 times the amount, easy.
Whoa.
If you're using trucks as your, inflation.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't look
Good
at that.
reference.
I didn't look at that price.
Yeah.
So $6,800 for a new truck in 1983.
Yep.
84.
Or whenever that Chase was, 84.
84.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's kind of cool, actually. They had shit tons of old commercials on there. That was kind of the treat.
So where did he get the money to do that? How Junior finance it?
Oh, that's a
Loans.
good story, too.
Go ahead.
No, it's just like you said, loans, and he actually decided not to pay back the loans directly. He figured he's got enough money going to be coming in from all of his deals. He's just going to not pay the loans immediately, reinvest it, and then pay it out over time. Ballsy son of a bitch, man.
And so they go from doing 200 shows, influx of talent, 400 shows.
Yeah, he says
'Cause
he
you're
wants to do
running double
400.
You're running double shots. You're running one crew with Hogan, then you've got Slaughter to run the other crew. So they're freaking loaded. And that's what I was getting to. Here's what the roster, did you guys see the picture in the notes?
Maybe. Maybe not.
So that's the AWA's roster, 82-83. Just looking at it, Hogan, Jesse Ventura, Adrian Adonis, Ken Patera, Nick Bockwinkel, the High Flyers, Jim Brunzell and Greg Gagne, Jerry Blackwell, Bobby Heenan, Gene Okerlund, Dr. D. David Schultz. Patera and Blackwell were a tag team. They had Blackjack Lanza. They had Andre coming through to run. I mean, that's probably when they took that picture. They had Mr. Saito. Saito and Patera obviously got in a little trouble after that. But
Was that them who got in? Oh, yeah, it was. They got into a fight in the hotel lobby with a bunch of cops, right?
they threw a boulder through a
Through a
window
McDonald's.
At McDonald's.
Yeah.
And then the cops came looking for him at the hotel, and it turned into a melee where they injured six cops and put them in the hospital.
One of those cops happened to be female, and her father happened to be the state something or other.
Bad times. That's why
Patera
they
did
got
jail time.
They got sent to Japan there
badass.
pretty shortly thereafter too, didn't they?
Say it again.
They went to Japan there shortly thereafter as well.
Something happened there,
They
right?
went to Japan quickly.
Yeah.
Got them
We're
the
told
hell
to go.
out of there. Saito, take Patera, get the fuck
Well,
out.
yeah, it wasn't Vern. He didn't want any kind of like. And I'm not involved with these guys right now, but they fucked up too. From what I understand, is they put him on hiatus, and then they cut a show and forgot to cut them out of the show. So the guys that are on hiatus end up actually wrestling on the show that night. So they went from a point where I forget who the announcer was talking about it. You know, they're on hiatus or whatever, and then later on in the show, here they are.
I want to say it's Ken Resnick doing the show, but yeah, Blackwell saying he ran Patera out of the territory.
And our next match.
Only to have him show up. Yeah, that's great. And in this time, so Hogan's gone. He jumps. And they say, okay, bring somebody with you. Dave Schultz, Dr. D. David Schultz, the guy who famously slapped John Stossel. If you've never seen that, look it up.
I have not.
Really?
I have not.
Oh, yeah. Slaps John Stossel in the back when they're doing this big feature on wrestling. Killed Schultz.
Didn't he go crazy though? And the
Well,
steroid stuff?
he says McMahon told him to do it.
How hard did he slap him?
Oh,
Pretty hard, huh?
Open hand slaps the shit out of John Stossel.
On TV, right?
Yes. Oh, it was ugly. Stossel sued. There's a bunch of stuff that happens from 84 to 86 that's just fascinating that they got away with it. But Dr. Dave Schultz also challenged Mr. T at a house show to come in the ring and told him he'd beat the shit out of him. That's
How'd that work out?
not a good idea when you're leading into WrestleMania. But also with that, Ventura jumps a few months later. These guys also didn't fill any of their commitments. He brings Okerlund with him. Patera ends up jumping with him. Who else? Heenan leaves but fulfills all his commitments, and that's why everybody speaks so well of him. Adrian Adonis and Dick Murdoch had gone over to Japan. They end up jumping ship. They had all had problems with Vince Sr., but now they're all like, okay. But Vince is signing them to, I don't know if it's a contractual obligation, but promising more money. And if they don't make it, he'll pay them in bulk at an end point. So they get that influx of talent. He also gets on. Now he went around AWA. I don't want to pass this up. He went to San Francisco and said, take AWA's. This is 84. Take their TV off. Put my TV on, and pays them. And they don't even tell AWA that they lost their TV.
That's the best part. I'm sure they actually thought they were still on.
Could you imagine that?
You sit down, watch your Friday night program or whatever of your own show, see what's going on. And it's Vince. His gig.
No, but they said they went to
the right channel?
They went to the Cow Palace in San Fran to do a show. 15,000. They didn't realize they were.
Only 900 people showed up. That's right. And then they end up telling all the main talent not to even bother.
Sent a job squad.
Sent the job squad out. I'd been so mad. Advertised all these big stars,
Yes.
and then just
Why'd only 900 show up then?
because they didn't have any TV.
they didn't know there was a show
Oh, so
It was like 3 weeks out or 4 weeks out before.
somewhere in there.
And then they took his TV, and he had no way to like really promote it other than guerrilla tactics, basically.
Yeah, because it was like they would promote a show a month ahead. Like the AWA was real different because they had summers off. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't run throughout the year. They ran this time, then these guys had jumped to somewhere else, and that's why you say all these guys. These guys had spent time in New York and got shots at New York. Anyway, Vince gets on the USA Network. Do you guys know anything about Southwestern Championship Wrestling?
Yes, but carry on.
Okay, so Joe Blanchard, Tully Blanchard's dad, is the one that ran that. And did you read about the pig shit story?
That's the best part ever. That was the end of them. They had a fight, or they actually were like kind of pushing the envelope a lot.
Yeah.
And then they decided they're going to have a pig shit slinging match, literally on TV. And that same night, apparently, Vince McMahon calls the head of the station and pulls it out from under. He says, "I'm going to give you money, and we'll split the ads or something like that, or whatever it was."
Basically split it.
And they just took it. That was it.
All American Wrestling ends up on USA. Now the other story.
So he just went through and cut better deals, just undercut the competition.
gave them money to run a show.
Them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because those guys weren't paying anything. They just gave them a show, a quality, for the most part, show
Yep.
with advertising. And people would pay to advertise on it.
Yeah. So he's still giving them a cut of the advertisement and then up front,
Yeah, because he knows he's going to make more money off of it.
buying time. Yeah.
More people see it on a national. I can go to that. I can go to any town I want now, and take your guys because they're going to come work for me. And then I'm going to go run them in your town, and them just realize, oh shit, these guys are still part of it. They're just on a better show now.
Yep.
It's brutal. But the other thing they don't tell is the Tully Blanchard job that he did, where he's on the USA Network and he gives out a live number to the USA. He says, "What matches do you guys want to see?" Tully's taking it over from Joe to run the show. He's like, "Yeah, do this tonight." Gives them a show and kills their switchboard by sending out their number. Like just stupid things. So by October of '83, they're on USA Network. And then you know how that goes from there. They get Tuesday Night Titans because they say, hey, we want another hour. But he doesn't want to lose production costs, so he just makes a joke out of it and makes a TV show. I don't know if you've ever watched Tuesday Night Titans.
Mm-hmm. It was the same week, though, that he actually had a meeting with Ted Turner for the first time about getting on WTBS.
Yes.
And that did not go well at all.
Go ahead.
So he had like 15 minutes with Turner up in New York, saying, bring my larger audience into your time slot. That was GCW at the time, which was
Georgia.
Georgia, which is Ole Anderson. He's basically running things. He's got a couple other partners, but he's booking. He's basically running everything. So he was not Turner definitely not convinced. He didn't think that his Southern audience would adapt to the New York wrestling style. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't wrong at all. And eventually, whenever McMahon finally buys GCW or whatever it is at that point in time, and gets that time slot, he's vindicated, or Ted's vindicated more or less in the fact that the two other shows in town or on that station ended up doing way better ratings.
Oh, I've read they ran the Omni and just did terrible. Just got killed.
Well, the original deal I thought was you're going to run your shows in the Omni or in the the TBS arena or whatever it is at the time, but they end up putting on pre-recorded shit for the first couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. Bad idea.
He didn't want to send guys. He didn't want to have to send guys down. I mean, that's what he was doing everywhere. He was sending pre-recorded shit.
To be fair, half of it was about getting that TV channel. Half of it was about killing that competition. Mm-hmm. So, very much way, it's win-win.
Yeah, and it goes back to what we're talking about. You've got a Burger King, but you don't tear down the McDonald's. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like you bought that too and killed it off. Mm-hmm. I mean, and everybody always goes back and says that. I don't see the good it does to kill that program. I mean, I do understand that you want their talent, and he got that, because he's basically taking Atlanta TV, taking guys that used to be on it, people that they liked, and that's what we're going to get to with Ole, just pissing this thing away. But that's what he did. He took everybody's talent and then ran them back. Like the big Minneapolis show, they had Hogan and Schultz wrestle, and it was a bloodbath. It was bleh. But that's what he did. Do you guys see fault in that?
No.
Really?
I mean, not particularly. The dude was trying. You got to at least give him credit for that.
Who? Vince?
Yeah, Vince.
But you're killing off.
I think it's that time, though. I bet that happened in a lot of industries.
I don't think he was looking at it like it's that time. He's looking towards, like, this is what I want it to become, and this is what I got to do at this point in time to make the next step.
He was looking as a visionary, not a martyr. He wasn't going out to fucking kill everybody. He was just, you see people like that. They have their vision. But, I mean, that's what ends up happening.
Right.
But you have this vision of wanting to do WrestleMania and wanting to go this way, and you don't realize that you don't realize the path behind you.
You see how he's acted over the past 20 years, and you don't think he was trying to put people out of business?
Probably not at the beginning.
Totally disagree. He went and offered money to Vern to put his name on everything. And when they said no, he said, "You're good, then fuck you."
Yeah, that's a funny story about it. It was mid-1983 when he had that meeting with Vern, and they were pretty much almost all had it locked up, and Vern said he had a few little things he wanted to, change in the contract. So Vern gives him a ride to the airport, and as Vince is walking towards the terminal one night, turns around, looks back, and yells, "I don't negotiate!" And that's the last he fucking deals with him. Just as I'm getting to the airport, "I don't negotiate." Done with you.
Maybe, I mean, I was just looking at it from an age standpoint and experience, and living, being under your father. You don't usually take bold steps. You kind of ease into it and go. So I was just thinking, I mean, that's my guess. That's not what happened then. I mean, like, just from a...
He didn't ease into shit.
Well, that's what... Yeah, if he was doing that, if he was being that...
He no-lubed it. There was no easing it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Well, he was an arrogant prick that wanted to one-up his dad from day one then. There was no... I mean... And that's what it is then. Then, no, I'll correct myself. He probably went through and wanted, didn't give a fuck. This is my vision. Fuck all you guys. This is about me and my legacy from the beginning.
I think what he knows is he's got New York, and New York was a destination territory, and you got paid the best when you worked at Madison Square Garden. And, they talk about the Omni, and they've had the... Jim Barnett ends up in bed with him, not literally.
If anyone stands up to him, what happens? What's the repercussions?
My boy. Who?
Like, say McMahon does this, and it goes south.
Okay.
Well, that kind of happened whenever he bought GCW, and the three guys that owed besides Ole Anderson, like the 90% shares.
Briscoes, Barnett.
Right.
Briscoes, Barnett, and I've got him here.
I'm pretty sure, right?
Is it?
I think so.
I mean, like, with him being inexperienced,
Paul
never done
Jones.
this. What if he just fucked all this up? Would have there been blowback in in New York at the time? Would have that territory been punished? Would have.
No, because you're on your own already. You already pulled out.
That's the thing. So I mean, like, he's almost doing this and making this, doing all this, and people say, no, we're not doing it. No. He still has New York to fall back on, to where people are still going to come work because it's New York. So is he really this
and
great
guys
risk?
teamed up.
Is he really this great risk taker that he had this net to fall into?
The risk is WrestleMania,
And that probably would have been.
but he pays for it coming up with what he does or
stay
what
tuned.
happens. Yeah, well,
we're
we're getting to it right now. So Georgia Championship Wrestling is running at this time. Roster loaded.
Great roster.
Loaded. Interchangeable guys, yes, but mainstays.
This is pretty much the spiritual forerunner to WCW, more or less, right?
Oh, my God.
Becomes Crockett, which has the WCW show, which becomes WCW.
Right on. Ole Anderson's still pissed about that. Says he should get paid for this name. For WCW. Mainstays. Buzz Sawyer, Tommy Rich, Paul Orndorff, Iron Sheik, Tony Atlas, Mass Superstar, also known as Bill Eadie.
Of your cell phone ringer.
Demolition.
That's right.
Axe. Larry Zbyszko, Tito Santana, Ric Flair was the world champion, but he would always be on their TV, at least because you tape once a week and you tape 2 shows. Ted DiBiase, Jake Roberts, Very Green, Road Warriors, Stan Hansen, all guys that were on there, but he started running guys away.
Road Warriors now starting AWA?
No, they started in Georgia.
I thought they started in AWA.
June of '83.
So them being from that area, they ended up in Georgia Championship Wrestling.
You want to know this story?
Yeah, I really do.
Eddie Sharkey's running a training camp up in Minnesota.
Yep, heard of that.
And Ole Anderson goes up and meets the guys. This camp's got
Tons of people that got trained.
Darso's not in this. He'd already made it down. Rick Rude's in it. I want to say Scott Norton, John Nord, those type of guys are in it because they get out within.
Norton is in the same training class basically as Rick Rude. That kind of blows my mind because he didn't really come into any kind of prosperity.
Japan.
Hennig in it?
Well, yeah, there's Japan.
No, Hennig's already worked for WWF. He's already worked for.
He's already out then.
Already,
but he's
way out.
he's from there. I mean that
yeah.
group of. Okay.
I'm sure his old man helped him. He meets. He says. He meets Mike Hegstrand, Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
Hawk says, "You don't look so fucking tough to me." Ole calls back. He said, "I want that one kid that was an asshole, and give me Laurinaitis because Animal had worked as the Road Warrior in North Carolina or whatever." There they go. Shave your heads. We want to make you like guys from the Road Warrior.
Mad Max, yeah.
Mad Max, or yeah. What was it, Mad Max or the Road Warrior?
The Road Warrior was a sequel.
So Mad Max was first.
Right. I believe so. Let me double check that.
So then they shave their heads, paint their face. The rest is history.
Really?
Yeah. Big.
See, I think a lot of guys started in
Yeah,
AWA.
the Road
that
Warrior was the
didn't.
second one.
Okay. What?
I said I thought a lot of people started in AWA that didn't.
No.
Just because they're from that area.
That's all these guys splintered.
Yeah.
Once the TV got sold, which we're gonna get to right now.
Where'd Flair start at?
AWA.
Okay, so because he was trained up there, and then
Part of the '72 camp.
Which was a badass camp, too.
Yeah.
who all came out of that?
Let's see. Iron Sheik, Ricky Steamboat, or Steamboat might have been the next year.
I don't think Steamboat was in it.
Flair, Bob Bruggers. He might not be. I can't think of all the names.
Point is,
off the top
though,
of my head.
so much of the talent came from the AWA territory.
Fuck Minnesota.
Yeah. I mean,
They're all Minnesota guys.
Yep.
But so anyway, so Ole had already done his expansion. They were see, like you said, Vince goes and does this. Like Fritz could have done it, Von Erich with world champion or with world class because they were being seen in like Saudi Arabia because they had a satellite, which is kind of like why Vince goes to KPLR and says, "Well, they can see you guys everywhere anyway." Plus, St. Louis is a hotbed.
Dude, and that KPRL antenna was so powerful back then, they could reach all the way to Indianapolis.
Isn't that crazy?
It's
didn't
nuts.
know that.
It's like KMOX.
WGN. I mean, like, but so
There you go.
It's almost a superstation.
I didn't realize it was that close to like a WGN. How we used to get it down here.
KPLR used to be the shit.
No, we are super lucky, and I try to explain this to people because they don't know now. We lived in St. Louis, We got the WWF. We got the NWA. We got World Class. We got a station that started carrying Mid-South. I want to say it was TBS at the time. We somehow got Memphis on like a weird station.
USWA. I mean, like
Memphis. Like Memphis Television.
Oh, okay.
Somehow. I don't know how, but we got it. Or maybe in my memory burn, it was clips were shown.
Yeah.
But we also had Kansas City coming through, which was Geigel with Harley Race, all his guys. That's why they ran into Falto. We were in a weird spot. We had AWA on WGN. I mean,
It's not too weird when you think about where we're located. We're the fucking nexus.
that's true. Plus, all those guys had to come run in St. Louis, so they had to be able to be seen from everywhere.
Think about it
Someone
like
had to
this, too.
know.
If you're going from Memphis to Kansas City or Chicago to Kansas City, where do you got to go through? You got to want to run so many hours worth of driving and then stop, do a setup show real quick. I mean, that's the reason a lot of people do music shows in St. Louis.
Spot shows.
It's fucking on the way, man. Might as
true.
well.
It's
Yeah.
weird that so many people have stopped doing shows in St. Louis.
Yeah, well, I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either. This city is dying.
Concert venues.
Ugh.
Best fans in baseball.
Fuck them too.
Anyway. So Ole's going through, and like I said, Fritz didn't do it. Fritz had big TV up here. He was out drawing like St. Louis shows, because that's why they started sending the Von Erichs were big time on wrestling.
I mean, I
shows.
remember seeing Kerry. Not Kerry. I remember Kevin wrestling being barefoot. Like I remember watching him as a kid, and wondering why he was barefoot.
It's. I agree.
Do you remember watching David at all? Because he was supposedly, before he died, meteoric in his rise.
Huge.
And then he dies in a hotel room. Have you heard the story behind that too?
Japan, right, with
The
the
Brody.
steak?
I've heard about 16 stories.
Have you? The Brody apparently took the drugs that there was like drugs next to his body when he died.
That's what
Brody
Flair
took him out of the
says.
ring.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, or took him out of the hotel
That's why
room.
there's so much controversy out of his.
So he didn't choke on the steak.
Choke on his vomit. It's meaning his stomach ruptured. That's the official story.
Yeah,
I don't know. What do they call that? Your stomach rupturing?
painful.
Anyway. Yeah, isn't that weird?
It's something with like your intestines.
Yes.
Like
You're not
intestine
talking about
rupture or
diverticulitis,
something.
are you?
No. But that is weird that when we say it out here in our office, they're like, oh, the Von Erichs. I'm like, Jesus.
I
The
bet
Von
these
Erichs?
fuckers out there, they'd be lucky to remember one match with a Von Erich. Just saying.
Oh, I know Jono's said Von Erichs 1,000.
I'll give him the credit.
Him and Pat O'Connor, I mean, they know Harley Race, Crusher Bruiser, the Funks. I mean, at least they know.
An age thing too, though. He's
Yeah, that's fair.
He's 15 years older.
Oh, I know, but think about that's how strong wrestling at the Chase is. That they may not know shit from the past 30 years, but they remember the Von Erichs.
Yeah.
I mean, they were badass. They were everywhere. Celebrities. But anyway,
Down there too. I mean, god damn. You watch like YouTube videos of them just getting mobbed, like going to the ring, bitches just shoving their tongues down their
Yeah,
throat.
but
I mean,
it
like
happens to me all the time.
unreal. Like I'm not like that's
I know.
it's
I know.
unbelievable. Like
Celebrities. Bigger than the Cowboys.
insane. I mean, insane to just watch these guys and like the fact that I don't know if times were different. I mean, but like they're getting groped, molested, assaulted on the way to the ring every night, getting their dicks grabbed.
Nightly
getting-
basis.
They're like the Beatles of wrestling.
So, I mean, it's just the craziest fucking thing to see, and fans that didn't. I mean, we didn't grow up really understanding it, but going back and watching it, people that started watching wrestling in like the '90s, you can't wrap your head around what that was like.
No.
And like go on YouTube and watch some of the old clips and just watch
When people
these people
really do
freak
it.
out.
Yeah.
And then when was it Carrie? Which one's funeral? Was it the funeral?
David.
They shut down the interstates in
Dallas, yeah.
Yeah,
And-
Dallas, Texas.
Shut them down on both sides of the road, and they have a helicopter.
Not since Kennedy.
The news
Literally.
following the hearse that's being led by cops.
They were big. They were big time.
I mean, do you remember seeing the clips of that?
oh,
I do.
well, I mean, all you got to do is look at Parade of Champions. They put 50,000 in the freaking in Dallas or Cowboy Stadium, whatever you call
I
it.
mean, it was like a day of mourning the day of that funeral in that city. I
It's
mean, like,
insane.
ESPN did a special on it, like a 20-minute thing. And it was. Have you seen it? It's
Short.
Yeah.
How long did WCCW last after he died, do you know?
After David died,
Yeah.
It lasted right around 6 more years.
That's pretty good, really.
6 or 7
It's kept
more
it going on
years.
that long, huh?
Say it again.
Well, they still had Kevin and Kerry, and
Yeah, but-
Freebirds were down there. I mean, they still had guys.
Coming in and out.
Through my extensive research this morning, it seems like nobody gave Kerry or fucking his brother
Kevin?
any kind of credit compared to David. Did they won titles after he died?
I thought Kerry was the shit. Like Kerry was like
Kerry
the
was
fucking
okay.
superstar of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Kerry
was-
was a pretty big deal. He won the
I mean, he was
NWA
tech-
title 4 months after.
Yeah, but then eventually he becomes a Texas Tornado and
Well, that's
goes off
because
Went to
of-
make money. He had to make some freaking money.
How good did he do as Texas Tornado? I don't remember him doing that great.
Won the Intercontinental title.
and they were going to push him bigger. He just had fucking problems.
Yeah.
I mean, they saw it all over him.
He wasn't the only one.
No, but I mean, I think that he would have got pushed even more because
Oh,
the
totally.
flags. He could have been the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, like he could have been the.
Absolutely.
He had the body. He was a better worker.
Oh my God.
He was missing a fucking foot at the same time.
He spun really good too.
But seriously, losing that foot changed everything.
Yep.
He could have been
Hogan.
the next Hogan.
Yeah.
Or Lex Luger.
Yep.
He could have been big in the
done.
NWA.
But Luger maybe, but I don't know about Hogan.
No, he had charisma.
He,
bro.
whoa. 1,000 times better in the ring than Lex Luger.
Well, Luger was shit pretty much. He
Exactly. And it's not like Luger with the finger point had a fucking better interview.
fair enough.
My God. Grabbing at his dick every 30 seconds. Telling him to sit there.
with his thumb and his index finger, like,
Oh
hey,
my God.
at least make it look like your pecker's bigger when you're grabbing for it. Like grab with like 3 fingers and
Yeah, give it a
like,
shake.
The total package. And
I
everything.
think he got that nickname.
Oh, I wonder.
BeefyHunksWrestling.com.
No.
This week we're sponsored by.
We have got to stop pushing people on that website.
No way, I'm going to get a hold of them, see if they want to do a sponsorship. Maybe get T.O. a guest spot.
People are gonna go to it and they're gonna find it's like some stew company now.
They're going to start doing pro-ams where they got pro wrestlers and amateurs like T.O.
Are you serious? We've gone this long?
We've gone an hour now, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's gonna be a while.
Well,
This might be like a 4-part series.
we'll work through real quick to get through what happened in Georgia.
Let's don't do anything quick. Let's take our time and
Okay.
let's not rush any of this.
Okay.
There's no reason to.
No Russian. There's no.
You ain't from Russia, so bitch, why you Russian?
Oh.
She want my pimp juice.
Oh boy.
You know, to change the subject from his craziness here,
Go ahead.
you were asking earlier about Vince's motivation, about why he wanted to go big and everything. Did you know that before he started trying to get big in the WWF, he was doing other live events, like he was the man behind the Evil Knievel rocket jump over the Snake Canyon.
Didn't know that.
Look at you.
Yeah, I mean,
So he's a carny.
he was also the guy who was behind the Muhammad Ali Antonio Inoki wrestling versus boxer match, which failed miserably. So did the.
So he's only done one thing right in his life.
He basically.
Now it's a big thing,
Can't
but
say that.
every venture he's done has
No,
failed.
XFL was. Oh wait a minute.
Ico Pro, the body. I mean, like, what has he done that's succeeded other than
Hey,
wrestling?
now Ali Inoki. Now they all ran shows that night. They all ran shows and showed the fight, showed that match from Japan. So they ran Shea, they ran St. Paul Civic
They
Center.
still
To
didn't
my
break even.
understanding, no,
Not
they
even
lost
close.
a fuck ton of money
Yeah.
on it. But I mean, Vince McMahon Sr. had his hand in Ali Inoki, not Junior, not as much. I know. Well, see, but that's the thing. These are. You can debate on whose money it is.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What's Vince done though? WrestleMania was successful, which led to that. But like,
What else do you need to do?
that's what I'm saying though. Anything that what he was doing before was, I mean,
Well, he pioneered the entire model of pay-per-views. Well, not pioneered it, but more or less.
no, he did
Took it from
the
one-
pay-per-view model and,
Well,
yeah.
what was it? Starrcade, the 2 hours was the first pay-per-view and closed circuit.
Close circuit, yeah.
And you know about the dick move he did with Starrcade to get rid of that or make it move? So he does WrestleMania, and it's a huge hit.
Yeah.
So he comes up with the idea we're going to do another pay-per-view called Survivor Series. Puts it at the end of November, which is where Starrcade was.
87.
But he forces the pay-per-view company
to choose.
Well, no, he says if you want my shit at all, you put it on basically at the same night.
So if you want WrestleMania,
Right, then you'll put on
gotta-
my Survivor Series, forcing Crockett to move Starrcade to the end of December. That's how that became an end of the year show.
So what did Crockett do to
Go ahead.
fight back? Clash the Champions.
The free shows on TBS.
yes.
Free show on the
Beautiful.
day of WrestleMania.
You know who gained out of that? All of us.
Exactly. That is the best thing that came out of it.
So I guess the moral of the story is, until someone does something to be competitive with WWE right now, you get the shit they throw at you.
Pretty much.
Nothing's gonna happen.
What do you
Ever again.
Way OT. What do you think it takes to create a promotion?
Way OT.
Off topic.
Okay.
I thought you were trying to say.
So did I. I thought you were using pig language.
No. Not pig language. I'm
Anything
cool with that. Anyway, what will it take to get a promotion off the ground? Stand out from WWF.
Okay, so I asked this question a couple weeks ago.
What did we say?
You guys told me this wouldn't be enough, but you have Daniel Bryan who wants to wrestle. You have CM Punk, who's a failed MMA fighter, who's probably going to get released.
So you think it relies on talent and not the show?
That's what I'm asking. Are those two guys a big enough draw to get sponsors, to get ratings,
I don't
to
think
get
so.
Interest?
Because maybe they could get sponsors and get ratings, and get interest, and make a little money, but it's not going to be a show to supplant WWE in their power.
No way.
Because you're looking at
The
two guys that are
infrastructure's
more or
too
less.
fucking. I understand, and they're older, but what do you? I mean,
You have to have a hook. That's the thing. A
no,
hook
you have
nobody
to have
has
deep pockets.
deep pockets and a hook. Even if you have, because look at Jarrett. I mean, he had pretty big pockets with Dixie Carter. They had enough money to try, and they can never get the formula right. They tried every gimmick they could do. You think?
You can make all the money you want in India until that turns into money in the States.
Yeah, that's fair too.
People with the money don't know how. People with the know-how don't have the money. And that's the way it's going to be till the end of time. This is it. And he's going to sell this eventually. And I don't know what it will become then.
Well, it'd be UFC too. I mean, they're gonna. Wouldn't that be interesting if WME buys WWF and they merge UFC
I've heard
WWF?
WME's about ready to
Get out of that already?
get out of the UFC.
Oh, really?
You think they'll take a loss on it? Because they fucked it up since they've took over.
I heard there's
How much did they buy that for?
Like 4.2, something like that?
4.2, but they put up 2. And there's certain ways they can get out of that deal. And I've
It's not a completely done deal. They
Green Bay.
it's done, but there's certain ways.
Fertitta's got their part?
Fertitta's got their part. There's other parties that would come in
Sure.
and relieve it or something. Like, it's complicated, but I heard that's not.
They could sell their interest, so to speak.
Yes,
Right.
and they're not real happy with the with what has went on, and that's why they're pushing so hard. This is
Dude,
what,
Fertitta's smartest
Well,
guys ever.
yeah, but that's why Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather is going to happen, is because WME has to make fucking money. back
I
from
can't
this.
believe they're going to let Conor McGregor do that. Honestly, hold up a couple divisions, why don't you?
It's a lose-lose it's a win-win for them though. He's not supposed to win. So if he goes in there and does anything respectable, last 12 rounds, gives the sports credibility. But if they can go in
Win-win
and
for who? UFC or Conor McGregor?
UFC,
Because it just becomes a giant bargaining chip for Conor McGregor.
that's fine. Fuck him. These WME gets 70 million back, 80 million back, depending on the pay-per-view buys with Mayweather advertisement they're going to be able to sell. You get that much back of your, you get some of your nut back on that.
Yeah, fair enough.
And they're saying if the fighters are going to make 70 or 80, it means the promoters, the way they are, they're going to make a fuck ton more than that. So maybe they make $200 million. That's a drop in the bucket of $2 billion.
10%.
Yeah. In your first year? I mean, it's not bad. Then you can start working with shit.
I wonder how it is as a businessman. I wish Coop was in here. He could tell us. How many years do you expect to take to win or make your money back? How much
You
percentage
build a
per
pro forma
year?
out. Yeah, I mean, it depends on your business model and
See, I don't know enough about business to be like, I spent $4 billion. I expect to have this back in 8-10 years.
that's what you go to your investors with your plan, and that's why they invest. Your rate of return is this. You're going to get paid back by this time, and that's when they choose to invest in your company or not. So, who fucking knows? WME, their big thing was they were thinking they had the TV deals coming up, and they're looking at it like, we're going to have the NFL TV. We're going to have it on Fox, NBC, CBS, ESPN, which ESPN's about to go away and fuck everything up for them. Sorry we've gotten away from wrestling.
No,
But
Again,
again,
they're
this
big
is
into
this-
China.
Who?
UFC. They've got into China. They got into India. Don't they have like the Ultimate Fighter TV shows running over there and shit too?
They've done really bad.
I've heard they're horrible, but that's not
Yeah.
the point. They're trying. That's WWE trying to get into all these giant. Same
They were
thing
doing
with
it
WWE
before.
though.
They were doing it before.
They want to get into these billion, people, country markets because even if you get 5% of the population, you've still got.
Well, I was talking to a friend, not the one that we've talked about, not Robbie, but another guy that I know, and he was
You're so
saying,
cool.
actually, you know what? He's talked about this on a podcast. Ian was saying on Brendan Schaub's podcast, he was offered $100,000 to fight in Russia. They're starting something over there. Mm-hmm. So you're right. They're wanting to get in. It's like almost the territory thing. They're trying to get in these other markets, these other countries, and expand like Vince did, in the 80s. So I guess you're right. Vince, the pay-per-view model, and it's been duplicated. That UFC runs their business model straight off the WWFs that Vince set up.
Well, how to run, like going from 200 to 400 shows, how to keep crews. Just there's so much revolutionary shit that he did before anybody else was really doing it.
Totally.
Sure, you could be running as a promotion 4 or 5 shows a month, running throughout your little area, but you're never running 400 shows.
WCW ended up doing.
What would it take? I mean, like we talked about it. You say it'll never happen. What would it take?
It takes an entirely
It's not
new
even worth a thought.
Why not?
Because you can't do it. Because nobody has the money to do it, and you can't put the same. Whenever you see these guys already wrestled a match, but now they're wrestling for WWE, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. Well, they've already done it.
So what you're saying is if somebody even tries to start, Vince will toss too much money at the talent or the people behind the scenes to keep it from even doing anything.
That's what he's doing now.
That's what I would do too.
I mean, this is what he did.
Yeah.
These guys were wrestling the exact same matches in the Omni. Mm-hmm. They come and wrestle at WrestleMania, and all of a sudden, it's the greatest match ever. It's the same thing. And how WCW? Oh, they threw money at him. They threw money at those guys in the -- and said,
So my thing is,
less dates.
If a TV company comes in and they want wrestling bad, they say, all right, USA is still making quite a bit of fucking money. NBC, they're doing all right. We want to compete, like Turner did.
They probably have a no compete, considering that they have that. I mean, Vince has worked with Ebersol, and they still have they've probably signed a deal that NBC would never have anything to do with it.
No, but CBS,
okay,
whatever. Just anybody, anyone.
TNT, TBS.
They have deep pockets, and they start doing it. They start picking up wrestlers that do this and talent and. What's the hook to get fans to watch that product? Because so many people have been insulted by what WWF's doing and are unhappy. What alternative would you create? Would it be the Attitude Era again? Would it be your classic wrestling again?
Yeah.
Would it be?
No.
I mean, what would you do?
You wouldn't do anything. Why try?
Tell you what, if I had the idea, I wouldn't say it on the show.
Bam.
I'm just saying.
I can tell you this.
I call Vince up and say, Vince, let's start a fourth one.
If you're trying to compete, you're already going about it all wrong. So I don't see why you go against...
Pitch a fourth brand.
Yeah, I don't see why you go against the established brand. They've already started a brand that's done better than anybody has done in the past 15 years.
Yeah, with NXT.
You had one shot with TBS, TNT, Ted Turner, and it's over. And you might as well get over it. There's nobody that can do it.
God, they fucked that up so
Oh,
bad.
it's when AOL bought it. It went right to hell.
And they didn't want wrestling. There you go.
It didn't fit in there,
But they were going so poorly anyway. It didn't matter.
You could have rebranded that whole thing.
With the right management, you still had the stock, like the whole company built up behind it where you could have turned it around.
Yep.
You get rid of the
still had
dumbass
the
bookers
name.
and the people you're paying way too much money, then they had a shot.
You still had the name.
Which was huge.
That's
You had
what you
just
need.
you had just been involved in the Monday Night Wars. You had 4 million people a week watching you easy during your prime.
Your
or more.
guys too. So the talent's still recognizable.
I don't care what you say. The late '80s, that is the smoothest transition of names. So was WWF, WWE, but NWA going to WCW. When you are still saying both names, that's the smoothest transition you can get, because you can still find it.
Yeah.
Because you know it is both. And that's what saved them.
You wanted to talk about another thing, too, that helped at the time was Turner Time on TBS. Do you guys remember that? Remember what Turner Time was? This is great. You guys don't remember something.
05.
05, exactly. Do you remember how TBS, all your shows would come on at 4:05, 4:35, 5:05?
Oh, yeah.
That was great because, one, in the TV guide, when you look at the TV guide, it's busted out on its own block.
Yep, it'd stick out.
So you get to see what's going on there. And two, if you were flipping through the channels after you just started watching something, you could still catch the beginning of a program. Revolutionary shit. Really helped in my opinion.
They did that with the Monday Night Wars.
Yep.
Guys went overtimes and...
Oh, the overages in Monday Night Wars was the best. The most exciting 7 minutes every week was the overages.
Yep.
People coming on early, people going off late.
Yep, it was beautiful.
Gold. Let's get through the end of Georgia, though. This is pretty important. Vince goes to Turner like we had talked about and gets the TV. Or, I'm sorry, to get TV, they say no. Jack Briscoe calls Vince. They own part of Georgia. So he buys out Barnett, Briscoe's #1 Paul Jones.
Well, eventually Ole gets a restraining order, though. It doesn't allow the sale, but that's the whole thing.
That's what we're getting to, Black Saturday.
Excellent.
Black Saturday happens, which we played you at the beginning of the show. And still, I mean, people still talk about Black Saturday. Obviously, it's lost its significance throughout the years. And obviously, now it's 33 years old, so not as many people know about it. But that changed everything. So, with Black Saturday, WWF is on there, I want to say 6 months, maybe less.
Yeah, I would say less.
And Turner goes to him and says, this isn't working out. It's not working. These guys are coming back. And that was when they rebooted Georgia. Actually, they were both on at the same time, different time slots.
Right.
But they had their old stronghold. So Vince says, all right, $1 million and you're out. Pays for WrestleMania.
So Turner paid for WrestleMania.
Genius.
So the Crockett's, because the Crockett's wanted that time, so they gave him money. There you go. There's WrestleMania.
How much did he pay to get that time?
Who?
Vince.
That I don't know.
No clue.
They don't have a figure on it, but I know it was $1 million to get out of it.
I wonder what. I mean, that's the interesting part. I wonder what kind of, because I guarantee he made money.
Oh, I'm sure he did. He doesn't do anything that doesn't make money.
Who? Turner?
Vince.
Yeah. Same thing with Turner. Though,
Made
usually.
$1 million.
No, but I'm saying he didn't make $1 million because he paid something to get that time slot.
I bet he made some money back in advertising.
I was going to say, I bet he covered his costs.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, if he was on there for 6 months, he wasn't.
Even though ratings were low, I still bet the fucker was bringing in Jack.
Oh, I guarantee it.
I mean, what you go from a 3 to a 2.2 share, you know,
Right.
you're still making shit tons of money.
And the
Still
thing
wrestling.
is, people are still watching, even if they're not happy. And all the people that were calling and bitching about it.
Wow, you know what? I take that back. They were on there longer than 6 months because they were doing shows all the way up till the first WrestleMania.
Really?
Yep, because they advertised it, and you can find that.
So he
on
had
YouTube.
paid. So he had paid advertising too. Then.
Probably.
So.
I take that back. They were advertising it on the Georgia Championship Wrestling show.
Okay.
I want to say I could be wrong. If somebody knows, please tell me because I'm can't get my mind right. I'm trying. We got to get to St. Louis.
Like going back to what you're saying about the UFC is when you'd be watching a Bellator event and you'd see a commercial for fucking UFC's pay-per-view the next night.
Right.
Like,
Of course.
You know, it's
good business.
That's why TNT, or I mean Nitro, would run ads on Raw. I remember that like it was yesterday. So let's get to St. Louis, our local, because I told you we
You
were
want to do this
talking
one
about
today? Or you want to start with it next time?
We can start with it next time.
We're an hour and 20 in here.
We can get out of there and we can get to what the WWF became, and then we can do the talent influx just to let you know what was going on. But just to let you know, we'll start with Mushnick getting out. Sam Mushnick. I'm sorry. All
and
you
one
St.
thing
Louis
we can do
guys.
if you can, let's keep track of. Like, it'd be kind of cool to see as all this happens and unfolds, who the Territorial's champions are at this time. Because I feel like DiBiase
problem.
doesn't
We get
get
that.
love. Lawler doesn't get the love. Some of these guys don't get the love
Absolutely.
and the respect that they were for being the Territory champion. It's like, oh, Ric Flair, he was the man back there.
You're
Flair and
very
Hogan
right.
were the guys back then. But there were these guys that were, like we talked about the
Rick
Von Erichs.
Martel, like for instance in AWA, the first of the pretty boy champions that Vern ever allowed.
Big get.
But you have these guys that were fucking rock stars in their towns.
Absolutely.
And were good workers and all this, and they became secondary and third level guys in our childhood as they become characters in WWF. So you see Junkyard Dog.
Isn't that the truth?
Junkyard Dog was the man in New Orleans.
Serious
I mean,
deal.
Big Boss Man is another guy that was
Big Bubba Rogers.
Big Bubba Rogers.
Really so you have all these different things, and people might not necessarily know that, he came from this territory and he was the champion, and kind
Paydays.
of how that worked,
Paydays.
Big
paydays.
One thing too, Vince paid you by the day, which wrestlers loved. You're going to get paid for every day you worked. Did you know, for instance, AWA, I believe, had a policy that they would hold 6 weeks of your pay in case you decided to jump ship and didn't finish out your storyline?
Wow.
They weren't the only ones.
Who was it? Was it Jesse Ventura that Vince said, hey, come on over, and he's like, well, they still got 6 months or 6 weeks of my money. He's like, I'll pay it.
They're paying me more not to come.
Yep.
Famous line.
Cornette talks about like back in the territory days to where they knew how to count how many people are at the shows by standing at the curtain because they get paid per, like what the house was, what the gate was.
Sure.
And Cornette talks about his formula of how he would count the sections and how good he was at it. Because, you figure out, all right, someone would walk up there and know, all right, in the top section, there's 200 in those seats. And there's 40 of them up there, so you can, all right, the math behind all that and figuring it out.
And that's why they talk about you better get on, when we talk about going from 200 to 400 shows, you better, if you're on Hogan's show, you're getting paid. Mm-hmm. Oh, I imagine those guys saw some good paydays. But again, you're putting all those other territories.
You still see that in UFC, though. Those guys who love to fight on, like,
Connor's
card or John Jones's card, where or back even Ronda Rousey's cards.
Yep.
Because you're getting $1 million buys.
Is that why they say those guys have sidekicks and shit?
Sidekicks?
Like they say, oh, yeah, that's his sidekick because he's always on his card.
I've never heard that.
McGregor has a little butt buddy that fights in the UFC that sucks, but he hasn't been on. He's only fought on Connor's card a couple times.
Oh.
It's usually the guys in co-main events that really benefit because they get pay-per-view points.
Right.
So I know, like, Rob was a co-main event on not GSP, on Connor and Mendez.
I bet he did pretty good there.
His fight with Rory. It was a title fight with Rory.
His first one or second one?
Second one.
Second one.
When he busted his nose and knocked him out.
Great fight, dude.
Well, awesome fight. But, I mean, that's a good payday right there.
I'm sure it was.
And last time, Corey and I actually, when we had dinner with him, we were talking about just some of the different stuff, and he's like, I'm picking my shots. Everybody else is doing it. I'm picking when I'm going to fight. I'm going to do this.
See, why not?
And he's fighting Cerrone, which I fucking love because that guy's a fucking homo. Sorry for the homophobic.
It's all right.
Homophobic slur right there. I didn't mean it that way. I
don't hate gays.
I really can't stand
Fags.
that fuck. But he was just talking about,
Oh, you dropped your Trump bumper sticker.
yeah, sorry. Let me get my hood. Talking about how important it is to be on the right card now. Not just not fighting on a UFC 208 that's being main evented.
That's what all the guys want these days too. Is they want those payday fights. Like Bisping, that's all he wants is a big payday fight.
I don't
They
blame you.
almost sound like old wrestlers.
Yeah, but that's what it's turning into. I mean, like it's kind of interesting.
A bunch of divas, really.
But he's fighting UFC International Fan Week, where everybody comes from all over the country for the big autograph signings, and they do the big thing at the Vegas Convention Center, and they run 3 straight nights of fights. And he'll probably be, co-main event or third to last fight on the pay-per-view that Saturday night with Dillashaw and Garbrandt will be on it.
Right.
And Jones and Cormier are going to fight at some point in time. And I don't know if it'll be the same card or not.
212, I think, is when they're fighting.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the card Robbie's on or not. I just know that it's middle of July or in July that he's fighting. So, that's a good payday. And when you're getting points off pay-per-views, I mean, like, what were the points they used to get off pay-per-views? Like, how did that work, Corey?
Oh, shit, that I don't know. All I know is they got paid based on the house. At least pay-per-view wasn't even really a thing until 87.
I mean,
Speaking of that real quick, we were talking about how much Gorilla and those guys made. I think that was the deal, too, where they would get residuals. Might have been another deal, but for whatever the average wrestler made, they would still get another 50% on top of that. Everything. Was that them?
Makes sense. Well, Monsoon became the commentator, but he was also an agent. So he was double dipping.
Sure.
I'm sure he took care of him. My God, he'd worked there till he died.
Yeah.
And I'm sure got paid till.
well, and he was like, he was in that group of
Like
Patterson.
Godfather,
and,
yeah.
I mean, like, there were some guys that Vince just had.
Oh, for
Still
sure.
does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Patterson, the French Canadian, I found that out today. Blew my mind. Anyway.
Pat Patterson?
Yeah. French Canadian, you know that?
This goes banana. Drops his S's.
Who,
For sure,
I did
French
not know that.
Canadian.
what happened with, Pritchard? What was the falling out with him and McMahon?
Oh, most of those guys didn't like him. And like I know Triple
like
H,
being alone?
not big fans.
Well, he's cut from Cornette's cloth.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like Michael Hayes. I mean, I think Triple H is keeping him. I don't think that's a McMahon thing.
How does Triple H like McMahon? Or how does Triple H like Hayes?
Maybe he helped him along the way.
Because Hayes was booking back then, if you think about it.
He was in WCW right when he came in.
Yeah.
Sometimes those guys help each other out. It's weird business.
Yep. Well, Jinder Mahal, I think he's lifting weights right now. Triple H. God. That's one thing we didn't talk about in the first show.
Oh,
Jesus.
I'm sure people are a little missing that Jinder Mahal talk. Okay, so when we come back next week, we've got to get through St. Louis, what happened with the St. Louis Wrestling Club, all that good stuff. I can tell some Larry Matuszek stories. WWF, what they went through, the changeover, the influx of talent, and then, we got to get to Pro Wrestling USA. It's the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Best show on TV back in the mid-'80s that nobody saw. So, that does it.
I want to talk about how they killed the last territory. They killed ECW the way they moved over to TNN just long enough to destroy ECW to get them off there, let the contracts lapse with TNN, and move back over to USA. Only moving there to kill ECW. What a dick move.
This might be a 10-part series.
It could be.
When ECW had worked forever to get on.
An actual network.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we've still got the 80s to cover.
I still think Heyman would love to fuck McMahon's however he could.
Well, anything's possible. Anything's possible. We're going to cover it next week.
And the week after.
Well, not next week. We've still got a lot of the 80s to get through. But we'll be back next week with more of Vince invading the territories, changing wrestling, all that good stuff for Big Easy.
Jason McMahon.
For Big E. Oh, and follow us. Don't forget, Facebook.com, Three Horsemen Show. Twitter.com, Three Horsemen Show. YouTube.com, same thing, Three Horsemen Show. You know them all. For the Three Horsemen, Big Easy, T.O., Corey the Wrestling Snob. I'm going to kill you.
Not you, listener.
Not
T.O.
you, listener.
Maybe.
It's T.O.
Might get crazy.
T.O. fucking with.
All right, catch y'all next week.
Bye.
Recording is...
That was smooth. Jesus.
That's okay. Nobody will hear it.
It's true.
That was a pretty good show, though.
Besides, people that hear that probably wouldn't even care. What's Pat Patterson? Jim's in. What? Why tag him?
Jumpin' Jim Brunzell was in that class with Flair.
Yes.
A couple others. Pretty good shit.
Steamboat's the class after.
That was his first class, apparently.
Yes.
In a barn, of all places.
That big, fat Olympic wrestler's name.
They're going to have to be more specific.
Do you have him in front of you?
No? I could have it. Just a second.
Bob Bruggers, Jim Brunzell, Khosrow Vaziri, Rick
Ken Patera, Jim Brunzell,
Patera.
Iron Sheik.
Khosrow Vaziri.
Yeah.
Who's the other guy?
Yeah, I'm on Ric Flair's page. It's barely giving me anything.
What's his name? God, he weighed like 300 or 400 and something pounds. I bet.
Oh, shit, we're still streaming.
Are we?
Yeah.
Bye, YouTubers.
See ya, YouTubes. Thanks for watching, Jordan and Brian.
Yeah.